Hey there, history buff and curious mind. Pull up a chair and maybe grab some olives or pomegranates, snacks fit for both Persians and Greeks. Because we're diving into one of the most epic showdowns in ancient history, the Persian Empire versus the Greek city-states. This wasn't just a war, it was a clash of civilizations, ideologies, and ways of life. On one side, you had the mighty Persian Empire, a sprawling, diverse superpower with resources and manpower to spare. On the other, a ragtag coalition of fiercely independent Greek city-states, united only by their shared language, culture, and determination to stay free. Let's break it down and see how this monumental conflict shaped the course of Western civilization. To understand this clash, we need to look at the two sides. At its peak, under rulers like Darius I and his son Xerxes I, the Persian Empire was the largest and most powerful entity of its time. Stretching from modern-day Turkey to India, it encompassed dozens of cultures, languages, and religions, all held together by an efficient system of governance, infrastructure, and military might. The Persians prided themselves on their cosmopolitan outlook, allowing conquered peoples to retain their customs and faiths while paying tribute to the empire. But here's the catch. The Persians saw the Greek city-states as unruly troublemakers who needed to be brought to heel. Cities like Athens and Sparta refused to bow to Persian authority, which didn't sit well with kings eager to expand their dominion. The Greeks, on the other hand, were anything but unified. Their world consisted of hundreds of city-states, each operating independently. Athens was a hub of democracy, philosophy, and art, while Sparta was a militaristic society obsessed with discipline and warfare. Despite their differences, these city-states shared a common identity rooted in language, mythology, and a love of freedom. When faced with the looming threat of Persian domination, they set aside their squabbles, at least temporarily, to defend their way of life. It all started with rebellion. In 499 BCE, Greek cities in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey, known as Ionia, rose up against Persian rule. They were tired of oppressive taxation and cultural suppression, so they called on mainland Greece for help. Athens sent troops, and together they burned the Persian regional capital of Sardis. Big mistake. For King Darius, this was personal. He vowed revenge, famously ordering a servant to whisper, "Remember the Athenians," in his ear every day. And thus began the Greco-Persian Wars, a series of conflicts that would define the era. Fast forward to 490 BCE, and the first major battle takes place at Marathon, a plain northeast of Athens. The Persians landed a massive invasion force, expecting the Greeks to crumble. Instead, the Athenians, led by General Miltiades, devised a brilliant strategy. Using their heavily armored hoplites in tight phalanx formations, the Greeks charged the Persian center, then swung inward to trap them in a deadly pincer movement. Against all odds, they won decisively, forcing the Persians to retreat. Legend has it that a messenger named Phidippides ran 26 miles back to Athens to announce the victory before collapsing. And voila, the marathon race was born. This victory proved something crucial. The Greeks could stand toe-to-toe with the mighty Persians. 10 years later, the Persians returned with an even larger army under Xerxes I. This time, the stakes were higher than ever. Enter Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass where King Leonidas of Sparta led 300 Spartans and about 7,000 allied Greeks in a desperate last stand against hundreds of thousands of Persians. Though vastly outnumbered, the Greeks held the pass for 3 days, inflicting heavy casualties before being betrayed by a local guide who showed the Persians a secret route around the mountains. Leonidas and his men fought to the death, buying precious time for the rest of Greece to prepare. Meanwhile, the naval battle of Salamis became the turning point. Led by the Athenian general Themistocles, the Greek fleet lured the larger Persian navy into the narrow straits near Salamis. where their smaller, more agile ships could outmaneuver the enemy. The result? A decisive Greek victory that shattered Persian morale and forced Xerxes to withdraw much of his forces. By 479 BCE, the Greeks were ready to deliver the final blow. At the Battle of Plataea, a combined Greek army crushed the remaining Persian forces, effectively ending the threat of conquest once and for all. It was a triumph of unity, strategy, and sheer grit over overwhelming odds. You might be wondering, cool story, but why should I care? Here's why this conflict is so significant. The Greco-Persian Wars solidified the idea of East versus West. For the Greeks, this was about preserving their freedom, democracy, and cultural values against what they saw as Persian authoritarianism. These ideals laid the foundation for Western political thought, inspiring everyone from Roman senators to Enlightenment philosophers. The victories at Marathon, Thermopylae, and Salamis remind us that courage, strategy, and unity can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. These battles are still studied today as masterclasses in military tactics and leadership. The Greeks' resistance against the Persians became a symbol of defiance against tyranny. Even today, phrases like Molan Labe, "Come and take them," attributed to Leonidas, resonate as cries of bravery and independence. Every time I read about this clash, I'm struck by how human it feels. You've got Darius and Xerxes, driven by pride and ambition, facing off against scrappy Greeks fighting for their homes and freedoms. It's not just about armies and battles, it's about stories. Stories of sacrifice, ingenuity, and resilience. And let's not forget the personalities involved. Who wouldn't want to have dinner with Themistocles, the mastermind behind Salamis, or swap war stories with Leonidas? These weren't just names in history books, they were real people whose choices changed the world. So next time you hear about the Persian Empire versus the Greek city-states, don't just think of it as a historical footnote. Think of it as a timeless struggle between power and principle, unity and diversity, freedom and control. The lessons from this clash echo through the ages, reminding us of the enduring power of courage and cooperation. Would you have stood with the Greeks, defending your homeland, or admired the efficiency and grandeur of the Persian Empire? Either way, I'm glad we're having this conversation over snacks instead of swords.